So I'm going to be making a modular arrowhead. This is using a carbon fiber arrow from Cabela's. Also using a 1/2-inch piece of PVC Schedule 40 pipe. I build up the arrow tip with duct tape or electrical tape. Build it up so it meets the inner diameter of the pipe with no wiggle room. I affix a penny to the head of the Schedule 40 piece of PVC with strapping tape made by 3M. It's a nylon reinforced packaging tape. I then am going to use a piece of blue camp pad you can get at Walmart. Using some more of the strapping tape, you're going to make a cross pattern on it. And you're going to center the arrow shaft on the blue camp pad. You're going to keep them nice and flat and even. Now at this time, you're not wanting to tape it down to the shaft, because if you were to break the arrow shaft, you can simply just cut this part off and pull the rest of the broken arrowhead out. So, cut the excess off. And weight is critical with arrows, but it's better to use too much and be safe and have a little bit of heavier arrow that has less performance than it is to have an arrow that's not safe. Arrows are definitely the most dangerous thing to have break on you when you're fighting with them on the field. After you get it with a couple strips around, make sure it's nice and centered. You're going to take another piece of strapping tape, keeping this blue camp pad centered. You're going to go around and tape down the pieces that are coming across here. What this does is it makes it tighter and stiffer. And I'm going to put it on the arrow just to hold it so it'll be easier to work with. Then I'm going to use pieces of CF1240 to build up around this piece of PVC. So this piece of PVC is 2 inches long, and so I'm going to try and make 2-inch long strips. I've been cutting tape with these scissors, so they kind of suck at the moment. You're going to take a piece of clear packing tape, use that to hold the CF1240. You get this packing foam at most office supply stores and post offices. I'll try to keep it tight. Yeah, finish taping it on. This will give some stability to the head. Alright, and next I'm using this foam ball. Get them from Michael's, Walmart, the dollar store. This one's fairly dense, but it's not stiff or rigid. You're going to take some more of your strapping tape and center the head with that. You don't want to compress the ball. You just want to have it firmly taped on. You're going to lash it on in a cross pattern. try to keep it centered, because the more centered it is, the better it's going to fly. And this, I probably could have just left the ball a little bit longer instead of cutting it off so much. But the blue camp pad is a lot more rigid and less likely to give out. And now it's starting to get fairly solid. It's not one end bend. You get a couple more pieces of strapping tape. And this strapping tape usually comes in, I think this is 1 3/4 or 2 inches, and I just split down the center. So now I'm going to bind the pieces that I have going over the ball to this piece of foam. And now it's a lot more rigid. Now I'm going to build up a little bit more with the CF1240 right here. That'll secure the head more. Then I'm going to torque wrap this foam from here down to here, so I can make sure it's fairly aerodynamic. Take the arrow out and cut off the excess of this. Alright, and now it's nice and stiff for the foam to the foam. Now I'm going to secure the arrowhead itself to the shaft using the strapping tape. This way, what I was talking about before, if you break your shaft, all you gotta do is cut this little bit of tape, then you slide that off and save the head. And when I weighed this head against a head using no PVC, it was only about 20 grams heavier. And I'm willing to take that extra weight to make sure I can reuse these heads. Because besides the arrow, the ball is the most expensive part of this, besides your time. And now the head's secured on, it's fairly stiff. It's not going to torque offline. And that's how I make my modular arrows.